George Kittle, best tight end in the league, best tight end ever.
We've got Super Bowls on the line, according to the bookies.
It's like they've never seen a football in their life.
It's not a Jamar Chase problem, it's the Bengals problem.
I mean, I've kind of set myself up for failure here.
Welcome back to the Early Hours podcast, and happy 1 month anniversary for the Early Hours team. A special guest is joining us today. It's Tom Brady. He's in the studio. Wow.
He's the GOAT.
Somebody's come out of retirement to talk all things football for 1 day only. Aren't we lucky?
Very lucky. Hey, listen, the last time Tom wore that jersey, he won a Super Bowl. So, hey, we'll take it. It's good luck. It's
greatness for this episode. It's guaranteed. I tell you, it wasn't greatness for the Bears on Monday Night Football.
That's a shame.
They played against the Vikings. Quite a close game, I thought. We got to see a little bit of the relationship between JJ McCaffrey and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson did not bail me out of my fantasy league. Congratulations, Oliver. It was about 1.5 points in that. But, you can tell me, what is Caleb's sack count up to currently?
With pleasure. He was on 68, as we know, from his rookie year, which is frightening. But he went and got another 2, so the big 7-0.
He's broken it. Congratulations, Caleb, on that milestone. Here's to 100 this season.
I mean, it's early doors, isn't it? It doesn't help that it's a divisional game so early on for them both. But, I mean, it was a bit of a mixed bag, really. It was a bit of a weird game. Caleb started out really strong. The Bears started out really strong. Opened with rushing touchdowns, passing touchdowns. Just looking at the stats here, my famous line. Finishing 21 of 35 at 210 yards. So, listen, he was balling out. There's no two ways about it, but it just came crumbling down, didn't it? It started with the missed kick. It started with getting sacked. And then JJ McCarthy just decided to remind everyone that he's a first-round pick, and he balled out. Interesting.
That fourth quarter was quite reminiscent to the Bills-Ravens, where they just decided to turn it on late. But, football is a game of quarters, and you can't switch off thinking that nothing's going to happen in the fourth. Looking ahead to Thursday night football here, we're kicking off against the Commanders. It's quite a big game there. You said earlier that it's not easy to start a NFL season with a divisional matchup, but it didn't faze us beating the Lions. Do you think we've got it in us to beat the Commanders, and who needs it more out of those two teams?
Oh, I'll pass the who needs it more to Matt. I can't talk about the Packers on that in that sense. It's too frightening. We've got Super Bowls on the line according to the bookies. So,
we do, 100% we do.
But no, I think, what was your question in terms of can we beat them? I think we can. I think we can be, we can definitely be encouraged from Thursday night. I just think it's a case of, for me, the big standout is, can we shut down Jaden Daniels? Very different QB to Jared Goff. So the pressure's probably going to be on those linebackers. Edrin, Cooper, we need you again, my man. Quay Walker, we need you firing. We need Jeff to be cooking up some absolute masterclass scheme, which he did against the Lions, to be fair, but we just need it for a totally different style of quarterback. And again, it's going to come back to that pass rush, isn't it? We can't go an episode without mentioning the name Micah Parsons. But Matt, who have you got for the who it kind of affects more?
I think you can look at it two ways. Who needs it more? Obviously, Washington come to Lambeau with a very narrow Week 1 win, so a road victory gives them a huge bit of confidence. It gives them momentum. It's a tough NFC East that they're in as well. And a loss would probably, again, put them back into a bit of was last year a fluke. However, on the flip side, you look at Green Bay, they're riding really high after the trade. I think you see all these projections and power rankings, they're top 3 in pretty much every single one. So they're probably a little bit more comfortable. But, if they start to pick up 1 or 2 losses in the first 3 or 4 games, that quickly changes, as we all know. So I think for confidence, probably the Commanders is probably a little bit more important, but I wouldn't say the Packers aren't immune to pressure at this point. I think the pressure is probably on both teams relatively equally. Because it's at Lambeau, you expect the Packers to probably edge it, but I think it's a great game, and the Packers linebackers and secondary are going to be tested by Daniels, and we saw Debo really good in the first game, and see if the Packers defense can be quite as good as they were against the Lions.
Yeah, and they can get some more use out of Terry this week, hopefully, can't they? Which actually is a weapon that it's funny, you've got this dual threat quarterback that you've got to rush, you've got to be, spying on. One thing I did want to mention was there was actually 3 game weeks last year for the Commanders that contributed to that 12-5 record, all winning by 1 score, one of which was a Hail Mary where Jaden was throwing it right down the field at the death against Caleb Williams and co. So yeah, I think they've got to be sneaking these kind of wins, and these are vital wins if they're going to get back to an NFC championship. But yeah, I know you wanted to mention there was a couple of bits on Jaden Daniels. He's a very different quarterback, isn't he, to what Packers have played? It probably ties into that point you were saying around how there's definitely that pressure. But I'll hand back over to you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Jared Goff, he, on the face of it, was always going to be a tough task for any team, but not a mobile quarterback. And the way the Packers played with quite a heavy blitz with Parsons allowing both himself and also the other D lineman, Gary, and then the guys getting through the middle. Jaden Daniels isn't going to be that sort of standing target. So is there a chance that, gaps open for Daniels to take the advantage and get out of the pocket? It's quite good for the Packers to see how they deal with, a Jared Goff type quarterback versus a completely dual threat quarterback early in the season. Gives them a chance to sort of amend tactics as well, as and when they need to. So it's good for the Packers to be playing completely different offense just to see how they test out. And then obviously, like you say, with the added threat of Terry McLaurin and the longer throw game as well, it's they're a dangerous offense in a completely different way to the Lions. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, brilliant insight from you there, Tom. That's only the sort of insight you get from winning 7 Super Bowl titles. A quick one.
Well, mate, we've seen the Raiders win the first game under him, so here I am.
100%. A quick one just to round out this segment, open up to the floor. We talked about the strength of both teams, but what do you think the Packers' biggest weakness is just going into this game alone? Because like you say, it's a completely different team from playing the Lions.
I think it has to come down to a couple of injuries that we suffered against the Lions, mainly on the O-line, really. We lost Banks, who we've obviously signed in the off-season, and Zach Tom at right tackle as well, really crucial. So big tests we spoke about this in the preseason, it's next man up. So big tests there. But yeah, you're looking at a really, really forceful, shall we say, front line for the Commanders, and they're going to be looking to get to Jordan Love and force some errors.
Chiefs-Eagles, a Super Bowl 59 rematch. So early in the season, the Eagles coming off of basically giving it their all as well against the Cowboys, but the Chiefs also looking for their first win of the season. They're already 0-1. Both teams basically do need this win. It will set up the rest of their campaign. But the same question goes, who needs this one more?
I could say that. I think everyone can pretty clearly see it's probably the Chiefs. I mean, the Eagles, they can have a couple of losses this year. They're still going to be probably one of, if not the strongest teams. I think the Chiefs have lost all 3 in pre-season. They lost game week 1. They've lost the Super Bowl last year, so they've lost 5 in a row. Obviously, it's not quite time for them to panic, but Xavier Worthy out, Rashee Rice suspended. Pat Mahomes is throwing to much depleted receiving core. We've seen a lot of rumours this week circling Tyreek Hill, which I think probably could be just rumours, but we'll see. The Chiefs have never started 0-2 in Mahomes' era, so yeah, it looks like a big setback if they do lose to the Eagles, which, if you look at the odds, you'd have to say the Eagles are the strong favourites at the moment.
You'd have to see that as the downfall of Mahomes as well, wouldn't you? If he starts 0-2 and he's just missed out on that three-peat, I mean, he's ticking a lot of things off his list where the cracks might start to be shown.
Absolutely, and it's not going to get any easier, right? The schedule is super, super tough, like Matt touched on. They're without key wide receivers, but I think it's a bloody hard schedule in the lead up to the bye week. They don't have a bye week till week 10, which in fairness probably favours them with injuries, but they are just met with some really tough challenges. Looking at here, Chiefs, they've got Ravens, Bills, Lions. It really is a critical stretch for them in their season. Their division we've spoke about has gotten significantly better. Even the bottom of that division, the Raiders look improved. Started open the season with a week 1 win. Chargers already putting pressure on them from a divisional perspective. Broncos look improved. It's crazy. It's going to be a really tough time.
Really tough. I can imagine just before the season started and Patrick Mahomes, he received the script and went, whoa! I'm not used to this.
Finally, really?
Yeah,
what's going
please give me some easier matchups and some decisions from the referee. But Yeah, it's a do or die game for the Chiefs for sure. Elsewhere in the league this week for week 2, Jets, they play the Bills. Saints are playing the 49ers. Colts, Broncos, a battle of the horses there. Texans, Bucks. Quite a lot of, tasty matchups there. Has anyone identified anything else that is one to watch for this weekend?
Yeah, I've got one or two. I think, the Sunday slate probably isn't, it doesn't match up to week 1, if we're honest, with all the divisional games. So, I'm looking at Cowboys Giants, an interesting one, obviously another divisional game, which is always nice. I think we saw the Cowboys perform pretty well in week 1. Obviously, it's Oliver's new favourite team as well, against a Giants team that looked so good in pre-season. They've added well, but game week 1 was much of the same. They're the only team in the league not to score a touchdown, so obviously Russell Wilson threw for just 46% completion, so he's already looking over his shoulder. And the Cowboys, they've won 8 straight against the Giants. The average margin of victory is 25.7 points when Dak started. So again, I think it's going to be tough for the Giants, and it could be just another one of those seasons for the guys in blue.
Speaking of the Giants, really quickly, have you seen the heat and all of the talk about Jackson Dart? He wants to start. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think they probably need to give it a little bit longer. I think they will give it a bit longer. If I'm honest, that O-line looks terrible. Russell Wilson was getting blasted all ends up. And if I'm Jackson Dart's people, I think he's better off sitting for a little bit, let Russ take the heat, and then he can come in later in the season. But if you're a rookie, you're getting no time on the ball, you're losing anyway, you're getting smashed up by a big D lineman. I don't think there's any fun in that, if I'm honest.
I think, to play devil's advocate to that, though, at the end of the day, if he's going to succeed in the NFL, you have to come in and you have to succeed, right? You have to come in, you have to just play well. Like, there's no two ways about it. There's no rest for the wicked. So whilst they need to protect him, and I get that he's a rookie, and we have this debate about like the Cam Wards, and the Bryce Young is a good example, got thrown in the deep end. It's a tough offense, a tough team. Like, I personally think play him. I think just get on with it and play him. I think Russ looked at best like a backup QB at the weekend. A couple of the analysts have said the same, and some of the talk shows have said the same. So just get on with it. Yeah. Get starting Jackson Dart.
I think you only learn what the NFL's about once you take big hits.
And they traded up for him. Up for him. You've got a first round pick that you believe could be your franchise quarterback sat on the bench. Like, if you're gonna have a negative season, if you're gonna have a negative record this year, you may as well have Dart under center, in my opinion, and let him learn and make mistakes.
Yeah, well, yesterday the waiver wire opened up. It's Christmas Day for many. I came down, checked my phone, saw what was under my tree. I was able to get my pick, which was the Packers defense. Look, you cannot pick Micah Parsons in fantasy. He's not there, but you can take the Packers defense. And I truly believe after that performance against the Lions, there could be some serious points there. Guys, opening it up to the floor, have you got anyone that you were able to pick up, or any sleepers in the league at all? Or Smells, coming to you actually with the news of George Kittle. Are you thinking about dropping him?
No, thankfully, obviously. Well, not thankfully. And none of this is thankfully. Apologies. George Kittle, best tight end in the league, best tight end ever. Obviously, he's gone into IR. I've picked up Juwan Johnson from the Saints. He was tight end 1 after week 1. Was he tight end 2? Tight end 1, I think. He looks really good. He's their only fit tight end. I don't actually think he's their tight end 1 when everyone's fit. And there's some questions whether he can catch a ball. However, he scored some points. Rattler doesn't look like he can throw the ball more than 5 yards. So it's a lot of receptions for a tight end. So, yeah, I'm in there.
NFL tight end, can he catch a ball? I don't know. Is
that the new
it's questionable.
I mean, but hey, he's been on the Saints a few years, and he's not been great.
That's why they call him sleepers, right? That's why they call him sleepers.
I need him for 4 weeks. I have, however, picked up Keon Coleman from the Bills. He looks like it's only 1 week, and we forget he was only a rookie last year, and he didn't play. He didn't play all the games last season. He had injury troubles, but he looked really good at the weekend. He looks like he could be Bills wide receiver 1, and somehow it looks like he's gone under the radar in quite a few leagues. So yeah, Keon Coleman, one to watch out for, and I'm surprised I got him because I was the bottom of the waiver priority. But yeah, my fellow managers obviously didn't have the glasses on at the weekend.
Love that, and that's what the waivers are all about, right? It's about being standing on that hill and being back in that player that you've seen and you've spotted.
Well, that's
from
it
red
as
zone.
well. But at the same time, like I love to move my team around and do some trading, but I feel like I've got to give the boys another chance going into week 2. Justin Jefferson did not perform for me. Joe Burrow did not perform for me, but I've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. They are capable of 20 plus point games. They just did not show up in week 1, unfortunately.
No, absolutely. There's a couple of areas for me that just need some serious recruitment. QB was one of them. I didn't manage to get him, but I was looking at Michael Penix Jr. Had a really, really strong outing. There was 2 QBs particularly. I think we touched on him last week, Dan Jones. Don't know if you want to come on to him, Matt, but Michael Penix Jr. really stood out to me. And the beauty of a pick like that is, a pickup like that, is that you get all the connections from that. So let's say you've not been able to get Bijan Robinson, seriously high pick. Drake London looked like an out-and-out top 3 receiver this year in fantasy in Sunday's matchup, and then even Kyle Pitts. So
I saw you took the punt on Kyle Pitts, and I'll tell you what, well done done for believing.
He's
in
been on others' team before, and he's been back on the way.
I had
This
to
must be
drop
about
him
his
back,
3rd trip.
But no, I think someone like Penix Jr., threw for 298 passing yards, can't be sniffed at. A touchdown, a rushing score. And he amounted 24 fantasy points, which was a lot better than my Baker Mayfield. But again, comes up against Brian Flores' defense this week, so will he be under more pressure? Be a good test. I just like his schedule. I like the schedule for Penix and the Falcons. It was it was one of the main reasons that Bijan Robinson was taken so highly, because of the schedule. So could be the same for Penix.
Triple the amount of points that Joe Burrow got me. JJ McCarthy stuck on my bench, 22 points. He could be a sleeper. Look, see how he goes. But he showed signs of definitely being a starting QB there. But yeah, it's week 1. It's early. Keep your teams. Don't throw them all out. There is still hope left.
Can I just say one more as well, and a little bit of a handcuff? Braylon Allen, because the Jets showed their hand at the weekend and they ran the ball in so much, and genuinely it looks like they're going to split that room. It looks like Aaron Glenn, although he was the defensive coach for the Lions, has taken a bit of inspiration from what they're trying to do with Sonic and Knuckles over there in Detroit, and he really is convinced that Breece Hall and Braylon Allen can share snaps and get the job done. So yeah, there's a lot of managers already out there that have caught on to the Breece Hall hype in preseason, but Braylon Allen, absolutely a great pickup. Had a red zone touchdown. His usage was a bit lighter towards the end of the game, but yeah, flashes of absolute brilliance.
The issue with that Jets side at the moment, look, I was really impressed when they played the Steelers last week. The issue is they are playing a Bills side who look like the embodiment of Satan itself, because they are just unstoppable. So maybe don't draft them this week against the Bills side, or maybe do. Maybe you can put them on your bench and then bring them out for weeks 3, 4, 5. Do you think the Jets have got it in them to beat the Bills?
I don't think so, personally. I think that's... I don't think I need to cover much more than that. I would just say no, unfortunately. I'm a big Josh Allen fan. You might even see me in a Josh Allen jersey one day.
We're getting Josh Allen on the podcast now as well. Unbelievable. I can't wait.
I would love Josh on the podcast. Another 49er fan. Here we are.
Josh, you're always welcome. You're always welcome to get on this to get on this show. Well, look, let's round out the episode here. Like I say, it's our 1 month anniversary, so what better time to call back to a segment we did on episode 1? It's Ball Out or Bust.
Hey.
100%. Everyone's excited. We all love Ball Out or Bust here. We've just done week 1, and we've just finished talking about a segment of don't be too rash on your players and, believe in them. But here's a segment that says they're either out the door or they're going all the way. So, Oliver, we'll start with you first. A name that you are actually fairly familiar with here, and it calls back again to the first episode. Brock Bowers, is he balling out or is he busting after the performance that you saw in week 1?
God, well, the only thing at the minute that he's busting is people's fantasy scores because, injury potential. It doesn't look great. Although he is meant to start, isn't he, next week? Let's not jinx anything. I don't know. I still stick with it. I don't think he's going to have... I'm going to get... Matt shaking his head for all the
amount
people
of stick
that are just
I've
listening.
got this just for being associated
with
is a
you.
nightmare.
I stick... You know what? I'm going to be ballsy and I'm going to stick with it. I think he's a bust. I know he got yards. I know he got yards in week 1. But look, we cannot get away from the fact that Genty was getting snap share. What was Genty getting? 54 snaps of 63 offensive plays. Give it a rest, boys. He's done for. Bowers is done. It's a run city with Pete Carroll. Absolute run city. No, bust.
Wow. Well, Rockhead 5705 is not going to be happy with you. You've had the chance to 180 your opinion, and you've doubled down on it. So expect some more hate. But please address all hate to @OliverGallimore on Instagram and leave us out of it. Smells, coming to you next with a ball out or bust. An interesting one here. I thought he was actually going to ball out this season, but after that week 1 performance, I'm kind of on the fence now. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. Is he balling out or busting?
I think he's going to ball out in the long term. Obviously, Sonic wasn't great in week 1. He only attempted 9 rushing plays, which isn't a lot for him, to be honest. I think he got about 18, 19 yards. So you're talking 2 yards per carry on average. He did receive the ball a little bit as well, so that's quite interesting. So can he be a bit of a hybrid receiver and running back? That's obviously something that they're going to be trying to do to make the offense look a bit more dynamic. But I think generally he struggled in a team that struggled. I think they will eventually work it out. And I think, over the season he'll ball out. But the Lions in general just struggle. And I don't think that helped him at all.
Can't say fairer than that, really. I mean, like you say, it's hard to base your opinions on 1 week, but you're coming up against different defenses on a week-by-week basis. But if he's got less than 20 yards throughout the entire game, that's terrible conversion from a running back there. Oliver, coming to you then, we're going to the wide receivers next. It's Tyreek Hill at a Dolphins side that have looked shaky, to say the least.
Definitely. Oh gosh, do you know? Right, there's a couple of points on this. I think one, first of all, Miami looked dreadful. Tua looks all over the place.
It's like they've never seen a football in their life.
If he gets past his first read, he's just an absolute disaster. So, and they played the Colts. I mean, it's going to get worse. They've got a division that they share the same division with the Bills.
Any team that's making Dan Jones look good,
right? Exactly.
That's a tell, isn't it?
Exactly. When you see Indiana Jones as slogans on Twitter after a game, it's never good, is it? But I don't know. Tyreek Hill, there was a crazy start in the week. It was something like he's not recorded a reception for 30 plus yards since 2024. It's crazy. He's gone on like 17 consecutive game week run where he's just not had a 30 plus yard catch, which is just crazy. So no, I think he's a bust unless he gets traded. That's the interesting dynamic with Tyreek, right? And it's one that fantasy managers need to keep an eye on, and actually probably the league needs to have on notice a little bit, because let's not get away from the fact that this is one of the fastest wide receivers in the league, one of the most agile and dynamic route runners in the league. Yeah, he can be an asset to most teams, but what I would say is he's probably going to go in most places as a wide receiver too at this stage. So if you look at the Steelers, for example, I don't think after they've paid Metcalf, he goes in ahead of Metcalf, in my opinion. And when Rashee Rice comes back, I don't think he's ahead of Rashee Rice for the Chiefs either. So
no, Metcalf was tearing it up actually against the Jets. So I actually agree. I think
the Packers could have saved money on a broken wide receiver, Christian Watson, and paid Tyreek Hill.
Could have, but we didn't.
They could have, yeah. It's all about keeping Watson sweet as well. He's useful in the game that Jordan's playing, of throwing it to as many receivers as possible. That's what Jordan's game was. Smells from one wide receiver to another. It's Ja'Marr Chase for you. After that performance, do you think he's still going to be balling out, or is he going to be a bust?
Ja'Marr Chase is one of the 2 best wide receivers in the league. Period.
Fact.
He had 2 receptions at the weekend. 2 receptions to who was the best wide receiver last year. It's not a Ja'Marr Chase problem, it's the Bengals problem. I don't want to say it's Joe Burrow's problem per se. I think it's more the O-line's issue, and whoever else is to blame, it's not Ja'Marr Chase. He balls out all day, every day.
I'm going to throw a wild card prediction.
Not again.
You're back here, are you?
I'm back.
Oh, we're not here again,
I think this weekend, Brian Thomas Jr. outperforms Ja'Marr Chase versus that Bengals defense.
I think that's fine to an extent. So you saying you think, sorry, I know it's throwing the segment. Do you think the Jaguars beat the Bengals?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting. I can't wait for Monday.
I think Brian Thomas Jr. beats Ja'Marr Chase against that Bengals defense. And I think on that point, I think he takes the Jags to a win over the Bengals.
Interesting. Well, look, actually, that does come on nicely to the second to last person on this list. And Oliver, you get to tell me if he's going to be balling out a bust. It's Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, I've kind of set myself up for failure here. Oh.
He's balling out, right? He's got to be balling out if he's beating the Bengals of all teams.
Must be.
He's balling out.
Trevor Lawrence for MVP. That's Oliver's next one.
Yeah, he wasn't good. I honestly think, right, if I base it off week 1, oh God, 178 passing yards, not great. A touchdown, 1 interception, 61% completion. He's a bust.
But he's going to beat the Bengals this week.
He's going to beat the Bengals.
He's going to beat the Bengals this week. Of course he is.
He's going to beat the Bengals. He's going to throw dimes to Brian Thomas Jr., but he's a bust.
Smells the last player on this segment of Ball Out or Bust. It's Travis Kelce after a pretty good performance in Brazil.
I think Killer Trav probably balls out a little bit, actually. I think he's.
Why
I think
do you have
he's
to call
actually,
him Killer Trav?
Well, everyone loves Killer Trav. It's that or Mr. Swift, isn't it? You know, take your pick. So
She had to
I think he'll ball out.
to tag her fiance as Killer Trav in a tweet. Imagine doing that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Between him and his brother, they're a great set of lads, to be fair. I think he'll ball out. I don't think he's on the level of McBride, Bowers, Kittle, etc. anymore, but I think he's probably going to show a hell of a lot more than he did last year. I think the Chiefs need him to do that. We spoke about that they've got pretty much no receivers knocking about, so when times get tough, Pat's going to look for Trav, and I think he'll be there. Don't think he's going to be, the yards after the catch merchant he once was. Obviously, he's getting older, but he himself has said in Brazil, next to our good pal Matt Goodman, that he's feeling good. He's here for the long haul still, and yeah, I think he's still a good tight end option.
Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see him get one into the end zone on Friday. That was it's good for my fantasy, and actually just good for the Chiefs in total, because like you say, they are
good for the sport.
Need. It's great for the sport. He's one of the big faces of the sport. But no, we will find out if any of those predictions or claims are going to be right throughout the rest of the season. And we're looking forward to week 2 of football. It's definitely back, and we will see you again on Monday to talk all things NFL.